Okay, we're back. We're live. It's 3 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. And in Madrid, is it? Where are we now, Maria?
We're in Madrid and it's 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Oh, may I extend a thank you on behalf of myself and our staff and everybody who might listen or will listen in the future for you staying up till 2 a.m. in the morning in Spain.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You look
It's
terrific for somebody who is staying up till 2 in the morning, I gotta say. And you sound terrific too, I'm happy to report. So Maria Mera, you know, one of my favorite people, Maria is going to be the host of a show which I think she has designated to be Viva Hawaii. Is that right?
I think it's a really good name because it's a mix of a beautiful name in Spanish, which is Viva, and it means a lot. It means cheering, and it means live, and it means life. And Hawaii is where we're gonna be and where we're gonna talk about. So I think it's a really beautiful name for the show.
Yes, I think so too. It's got everything we need and a reference to Hawaii. So let's talk, Maria. This is going to start next week, is it?
Well, Jay, thank you very much to you, first of all, for giving me the opportunity. I hope everybody will follow the show. The show is going to be in Spanish. It's going to be mainly dedicated to Hispanics in Hawaii or to all those who speak Spanish and are interested in the life in Hawaii, but it will also cover international news as well as news from the mainland. Uh-huh. And the show is going to be at 3 p.m. starting on Mondays, starting December 21st. And we will start with every other Monday, and we will see if we have enough audience to make it every Monday.
I'm confident of you, Maria.
Thank you very much, Jay. You believe in me. Thank you very much.
I believe in you. Yeah, it's very clear to me. Not that I'm a student of humanity, so I guess it's clear to me, and usually I understand those things. Anyway, but let's go back. What kind of stuff will you cover?
I think we'll cover. I think the show, first of all, will take shape as we go, since it's a new show. So we are accepting all kinds of comments and advice, and especially from people like you who have been in the business for so long and are so genuine. But my idea is to cover news and events and history and everything that any person who speaks Spanish can be interested about Hawaii. So we want to cover as much as we can. We will try to see what Hispanics are doing in Hawaii, businesses, what they do, where they go, what they are interested in, things like that. So that's our first idea. But again, it will take shape as we go.
Well, let me roll it back a little bit and ask you, who are you, Maria?
Well, I'm Maria Mera. I'm a Spaniard, born in Madrid, grew up in Madrid. I studied business here. I got a scholarship when I was in the university, and I went to study to the U.S., and I love the U.S., to be honest. I try to study languages. I'm kind of bilingual in English, but I also studied French, and I know a little bit of French to get by. I have 2 sisters, and I'm very close to them, so family life is very important to me. And my husband is in Hawaii right now, so that's where we live now. And I'm very interested in Hawaiian life and getting to know the islands where I'm there. And that's pretty much. I work in the media sector for 17 years, even though I was never in writing or on TV, but I was more on the business side. Uh-huh. So I know the business side of media, and I also worked for a little while in the U.S. in the energy sector. So that's pretty much my background.
Okay. Well, so.
I'm here in Madrid because my family is here and I'm visiting them. And a special mention to my father, who died last week.
Our condolences about that, Maria.
Thank you very much. I think you would have loved to meet him. He was a very accomplished man, very athletic, very businessman. So we missed that opportunity, but I think a little bit of him is in me. So you will get to know a little bit of him.
Yeah, through you, we'll get to know him. So, now I want to spend a moment with you about modern Spain. I think that in the U.S. we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people, of course, and we have tens of millions of Latinos all over the country, everywhere. But we have precious little contact with Spain itself. And it is more than just saying cinco or cinco for five.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo.
There's a big difference between the Spanish culture in South America, in Latin America, I should say, and Spain. When I was just finished with law school, this would be 1965, I took my tour of Europe. And the very first place I went, or second place I should say, was Spain. And I spent some time with a Spanish family, I told you, in Madrid, at Calle Calvario número 5. And I got to
very impressive that you remember that, yeah.
Certain things you remember. And
have you ever been back since 1965, or?
Say?
Did you ever get back to Spain after 1965?
Yes, a couple of times. And on each occasion, I would ask a cab driver or somebody, a hotel concierge, to find me Calle Calvario número 5. And the information I got back was that it was gone, and that part of Madrid had been demolished, and it was, redevelopment there. So I never got to see the place, or my friend Jose Real was his name, again. And one of these days, maybe I'll get to see him. But when I went, I was so impressed because I had no idea about Spain. Spain is a very healthy, it's a middle-class community. People are very friendly. And the whole country was a really positive experience for me, and I feel that way from then till now. But I want to explore with you, what is it in modern day Spain? Can you give us a précis of how things work, what it's like, what we may not understand about modern day Spain that we need to know?
Well, since you, and again, I'm a private person saying my opinion, so we might find people with different opinions here, but I'm giving you mine. Since 1965, Spain has changed a lot. We're talking about a dictatorship when you were here. So we are now in democracy. We are a country that is ahead in many things, technology, energy. We can talk about that later, renewable energy. Politicians, I just saw the Spanish elections are coming up December 20th, and I just saw a debate between four parties that are four candidates for the presidency. And before, since democracy has been a bipartisan country, it's been like either one party or the other, and now it's a real democracy with four parties, people very well prepared, very educated. And if you go out to the countries, I don't think you'll ever see as many people in the streets having fun, enjoying life. I think it's a very, very outgoing personality, it's very warm. The only thing is the problems in Spain are the unemployment. The unemployment is over 20%, and that's huge. That's something a country can handle. And Spain has been doing better since the crisis of 2008, but still it's a 20% unemployment. And so the dreams of young people are not even existent. Many people are emigrating to other countries, mainly Europe, but we are also receiving a lot of immigration from other countries, Romania, a lot of South Americans, just because of the language connection.
To put it in perspective, I didn't tell you my first country that I visited, which is France. In France, I studied French in school, so I had a lot of connection on France, and that was great. But I took a train across the Pyrenees, and on the train I met Jose Real, who spoke Spanish and French, but not English. And I spoke French and English, but not Spanish. So we communicated in French across the Pyrenees. And he was migrant labor. He was from Spain, and during the I guess you'd say the academic year, except August, right? Vacances. He was he was he was he was in France working, and then he'd go home in August to Spain to spend time with his family, and that's when I met him. But what I find interesting is that the whole notion of migrant labor existed then, except the migrants were the southern countries, like Spain and I suppose Italy. All the southern countries were feeding migrant labor to the northern countries, and that's what Jose was doing. And I suppose now it's the same, but modified.
Is the migration of Spaniards outside is much higher now, much higher, and it's due to the unemployment. We are having a lot of movements, and I'm sure you're aware that there is a lot of refugees also entering to Europe, and that's one of the issues. And now countries like Spain or France that are having the elections, the politicians in Spain are still, because it's not affecting so much, the terrorist attacks of November 13th were in France. French politicians are using that a lot, and I'm sure you heard the elections yesterday. Marine Le Pen, which is the extreme right, which is anti-Euro, anti-immigration, she is pushing for those ideas, and people are supporting her. The party is growing up a lot. Yeah. Even the socialists who are now in the government, François Hollande, they are also doing extreme measures that they didn't do before, like they are doing unauthorized registrations. They are doing many more arrests. They are even saying they are going to remove the nationality, the citizenship to those French who are jihadists and they have the double citizenship. So they are going to remove the French one. So they are taking really extreme right, almost Donald Trump kind of ideas, and people, and they are growing in popularity because of that. So Europe right now is kind of divided between our keeping our own freedom and just forgetting about freedom and stop any kind of terrorist attacks like what happened November 13th in Paris.
Yeah, so really, what terrorist attacks has Spain suffered? I mean, I know there was some attacks years ago, but recently, has Spain had attacks by ISIS?
Not since the one in March, I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, it was 20... actually, it was before I went to the US, so it was probably like 2024 or something like that, and that was terrible. That was like over 200. It was more dead people than the ones in Paris, but it was all. I think the impact in French society is that it was to restaurants, hotels, to just what democracy is, to what French life is. And concerts, soccer game, so it was all over the city, and it was very well coordinated. So the problem is that something like that, you cannot stop it, or I don't know how you can stop it other than, I don't know.
Well, I wonder maybe the Spanish turn to the right is emblematic of a turn to the right all over Europe. Well, one would imagine the same kind of thought process of being concerned about terrorism, therefore willing to give up civil rights, and willing to make it difficult for anybody who might be a terrorist. Even though Europe has been so, in recent years, in your lifetime, Europe has been so open and liberal and kind to strangers, no borders. It's really been wonderful. It's been better than the U.S. by far. And now
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. I think the U.S. is pretty amazing how welcoming you are with all of us.
Okay.
To begin with. So I think like France has more of a multi-level society. Other countries are more welcoming, like Germany, and but I don't know. I think the U.S. is very impressive where you guys are.
How about Spain?
Spain is getting there. I think we are welcoming, but we haven't had so much immigration as now. So I think we are trying to find our place, and people are trying to decide if we want. I don't know. I hear everything. I hear all older people saying all these Muslims and wearing whatever they want, and you can hear all kinds of comments. I think younger people, younger generations will be very welcoming, mostly because younger people are going outside. So if you see other countries accepting you, how are you not going to accept them?
Sure, sure.
And also the refugees are. These are the things that we shouldn't mix. One thing are terrorists, and the other things are refugees who need help. And
So,
so,
how has the unemployment figure, which is stunning, 20% is really stunning. How has that
yeah.
affected the way people think and talk? It's my theory on this is that it's kind of corrosive over time. The longer the unemployment lasts, the more it affects the lives, careers, families of the people involved, the population in general, and so it has
Absolutely.
an increasingly corrosive effect. So what effect, if any, is it having right now?
Yeah, I believe every time this year, for the first time I feel a little better when I come here, but I feel like people were very angry and very like on the edge all the time, very stressed. Mainly in a city like Madrid, it's very hard to live here. It's very hard, but people are a little bit, between Spaniards, Hispanics, and Hawaiians. I find this similarity that is very, people like their families. They are very family people, and they help each other. So families are living with 3 generations or even 4 generations in the same household. And so that's kind of a similarity that I find with Hawaiians. We are helping each other, kind of.
Yeah.
Like one works and the other one is like, and the whole family is around. But the other thing is, Spain is not as expensive as any other European country, or not even close to Hawaii, not even close. So you can have a good quality of life with half the salary that you have in Hawaii. Like even the groceries, I find them much cheaper here, or not to talk about real estate, or it's so much cheaper to live here, and the quality of life is pretty good. We always have sun. We always, people, you go to have your beer and they give you your tapas in the bar. So
Oh yes, I remember that.
I am very impressed how Spaniards can pull it off. I think there is also a lot of under the table economy. And so that 20% eventually is not exactly 20%. But the problem is it's younger people between 18 and 25 or even 34. They is not 20%, it's almost 50% unemployment. Is huge. Is really, you go to college, you finish college and you don't find a job, and years go by.
Yeah, I'm sure. Let's take a short break and try to recover from that. And then we'll come right back.
Yeah, let's.
That's Maria Mera, our
Thank you very much.
correspondent in Madrid, soon to be our host here in the Spanish language program we're going to call Viva Hawaii. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. I'm host of Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, which is our flagship show, which plays 4 to 5 p.m. every Wednesday. And the supporters of that show are Hawaii Energy Policy Forum and Hawaii Energy. And luckily enough, we have representatives of both of them right here today to tell you more about what they think about the show. Sharon Moriwaki at my left is co-chair of Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, and she goes first. Sharon?
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. I'm so glad that we have this Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. This was 2 years ago when we started this, and we have continued it because it's so important, and there's so many developments happening across the state. And we hope you'll tune in every Wednesday, 4 to 5. It's wonderful.
And Ray is Hawaii Energy. Ray, what is your thought about the same subject?
Well, I agree completely with Sharon that we are talking about every Wednesday, 4 to 5. We talk about some of the most important subjects that are affecting the islands now and into the future. Energy, clean energy, we need it. We often run into new ideas that we had not thought about before. We did just today, and I think we're going to have more of that in the future. So come on down and watch us 4 to 5 on Wednesdays, and we'll see what happens.
We'll see you then. Aloha.
Aloha.
One. We're here with Maria Mera. She could be across the table from me. It's fabulous. The power of Skype and electronics. Here we are in ThinkTech. So, Maria, I wanted to cover, like sort of in a comparative way, how life is doing with respect to the relationship of the people and the government. And I remember from my time in Spain and since that there was an issue with independence movements in Spain. For example, the Basque movement in the northwestern part of the country, and sometimes they got very excited and did very adventurous and if not violent things. So how are we doing in terms of the acceptance of the government in this democracy, this post-Franco democracy? How are we doing? Everybody happy?
I thought you wanted a happier, something happier to talk about. Okay, let's do this. Well, Spain right now is a monarchy. So we have our new king, the son of Juan Carlos I, and he took over, I believe, was last year. And so the government is very well accepted. Maybe not. We are not doing exactly, or sometimes in social issues they are not doing exactly what people would like. But again, we are doing pretty good. Every government has its detractors and its fans, I guess. The problem with Spain is a very split country. We are not that big. We are like 46 million right now, and when I was younger, not very long ago,
I'm sure that's true.
The Basque Country wanted, which is the north of Spain, south of France, north of Spain. So the Basque Country wanted to be independent, and there was an organization called ETA and called ETA. And they wanted to be independent, but they had their reasoning was just violent. So they were starting killing the military, and then started killing people in the street. And so it was a bad time. It was a real bad time. So the government started negotiating with them, which was something people didn't want, but eventually it was better to just negotiate with them and not have that violence and give them more independency and more power. So unlike in France, for example, that the regions don't have that much power, in Spain, regions like states have a lot of power. And that goes for the Basque Country, that goes for Catalonia, which is where Barcelona and the area is. And all the other regions in Spain have a lot of power. So it's a very small country, but at the same is very different. People from the south, we consider them very different to people from the north, and it's really in character and how we are and how we look. We are different from north to west. And the good thing is ETA disappeared. We finally got rid of them, but now Catalonia wants to be independent. So they are much smarter. They are doing it through laws and going to Europe and fighting for it's sort of like Scotland, but the problem is our constitution and our government doesn't accept the independence of Catalonia. They wanted to have a referendum, which wasn't allowed, but they have their own territorial elections. And per vote, it was clear that not all no more than half the Catalonians want the independence. But still, there is a number of groups in Catalonia that keep fighting for the independence. Now we're having the general election, so we'll see also what the Catalonians do. But it's unfortunately a very split country, and I think eventually we all consider ourselves Spaniards, mostly when the Spanish soccer team do very well. And so we are all Spaniards, but when the Spanish soccer team don't do so well, then we are all from our own city. Yeah. So that's very sad. I don't know if I left that very clear for everybody, but they're in an area, in an age of globalization. I think this doesn't have place.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Oh, well, thank you for telling. I was going to ask you that anyway.
Yeah.
So let's talk about energy. I remember reading that Spain was very sensitive to energy issues. Spain has gone a long way to do solar, as other countries in Europe. And Spain, had a consciousness about global warming too. Can you talk about the level of interest and commitment to clean energy and dealing with global warming in Spain?
Okay, well, let's talk about two things. One is the awareness of Spaniards and Spain to clean environment, and the other one would be renewable energy. So to begin with, the global awareness of Spaniards, I think is pretty amazing. Like the recycling program that we have here, or the bike share program that we have here, or there are a number of efforts that Spaniards and Spanish government is doing to get to where Europe is. There is right after the attacks, there was a climate summit in Paris where they've been talking about these issues together. It's 100, I believe it's 172 countries in this summit where they are deciding policies for the whole world, but mainly for Europe. So about the recycling program, you see is like the landscape of the whole country. You can see recycling bins, these big containers where people go and they make the effort to go recycle. There is like in every little corner, you have one for glass, you have for paper, you have for even for used cooking oil. So you have your yellow, your green, your blue, and your orange container, and people can go and recycle. In some houses, they come and pick it up. Spain is not up there as Austria or Germany, where they've been recycling 63% and 62% of their household trash. But Spain is doing pretty good. It's at 33%, and they want to get to 50%. All Europe wants to get at 50% by 2020. So I think the Spanish government is doing pretty good in that sense. They've been putting this bike share program, same as in Hawaii, in many cities in Spain, in Barcelona, Zaragoza, San Sebastián, Valencia, and recently also in Madrid. And just only in Madrid is these bikes that are like electric bikes. They have a motor, so when you are doing a long distance or a hill, it helps you.
Sure.
So they spend, I believe it's $35 million in this program, just in this program, but it's part of a $1 billion program because they are doing like 37 miles of just bike paths. And then these 1,500 bikes with 120 stand points where each one has like 15 places for bikes. And so people I was very impressed since I came back last time, and you see not only these bikes that the program has, it's called BCMAT, but also a lot of people, they just take their private bikes and they just go to work in the bike. Good thing is the weather in Madrid is always pretty good. It never rains, for good or for bad. And
well, everyone knows, Marie, everyone knows that the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain, not Madrid. Madrid is not on the plain.
Plane, yeah.
Sorry, I had to say that.
Well, it's amazing. I've been here almost 2 months by now, and I don't think it's rained one day. And I'm used now to Hawaii, so I'm completely lost. I don't know. But there's a lot of pollution. You can see it's not Beijing, thank God, but it's very polluted. So what the town hall is doing in Madrid is they reduced first they started reducing the speed of the cars around the city. Then they started reducing that cars who don't have a residence in the city, they cannot come and park in the city. So the city, it really, I don't know if it helps or not, but it's definitely much nicer. And then they have, depending on the day of the month, like even cars can park or uneven cars can park depending on the day. So they are doing things to help the pollution. Is really bad. Not so much in other cities of Spain, but Madrid is especially polluted.
Yeah. Are people
So
generally supportive of these programs? Are they, is the average person on the street?
absolutely, yes, yes. It's pretty well. You can always find someone who's not, but even in the bins in the malls, they have like the three places to if you put your can or your glass or your regular trash. So it, it it's easy for Spaniards to do it, but they are also very aware of it. I think Europeans in general are much more than Americans, if I may.
Well, I regret that we have to turn our attention now to Hawaii. But in your show coming up, I hope you will cover events in Spain as things unfold in the EU and Europe.
Of course,
And
yeah.
give us the sort of the Spanish look at it. We have an Indian woman who gives us the Belgium look. This morning we had a reporter from Paris, and I really would like you to be able to tell us, keep us current, educate us, keep us educated about what is happening. We need to know what is happening in Spain.
It will be my absolute pleasure to do that. I would love to do that.
Okay,
Let me
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna follow with the policy of the government on renewable energy.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Well, a few years ago, maybe 2007, 2008, all the way until 2010, the government was giving a lot of subsidies to companies who wanted to do renewable energy, especially wind and solar in Spain. They had the goal of 30% by 2010, and they already had 35%. The problem was the government got in this huge debt deficit, and they had to retract the incentives that they had already given to companies. And so they retracted and restructured those incentives, and many companies were not even able to install all the projects that they had already won. Companies like Abengoa also, I don't know if you've heard, but they are falling into bankrupt. And Abengoa is one of the biggest companies in the world, and they already have like two biomass projects that they gave them, one in Britain and the other one is in Belgium.
Well, what does this mean? What does this mean for renewable energy?
Well, renewable energy is at a 47%, was in March of 2015, so it's doing good, but in the last 3 years, nothing has been built. So like wind is doing very well. I think they want 40% of wind energy to be all electricity generated in Spain, and the goal is very close to get there. Well, very close. I think now it's like 25%. Solar is not that much; it's 3%, but it's one of the countries.
I wouldn't expect solar to be much at all because you have wind. I mean, I remember reading, was it Dante, who wrote about the windmill, and Don Quixote.
Don Quixote, yeah. Yeah, we have those mills, but no, you can see like all around when you drive through the land of Don Quixote, which is called La Mancha. You can see all these windmills. They are everywhere. They are everywhere. Spain has a lot. Yeah.
Are they modern, highly engineered wind turbines that feed a grid?
Say it again.
Are they these windmills that you see in Spain, probably on the plain in La Mancha? Are they feeding a grid?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. The prices in Spain it depend on the time of the day, and they also change depending on the region, but they are more similar to the prices that you can find in California. They are not as expensive as Hawaiians, but yeah, they feed the grid. That's how they sell the grid to to the network.
Yeah, I just remembered, by the way, it was Cervantes.
Yes,
Cervantes.
Miguel de Cervantes.
Right, who wrote about Don Quixote.
Don Quixote. Yes, very good.
So,
and actually, my mother is from that land, and she's very proud of it. Yeah, so you have amazing products, agricultural products there. You have Manchego cheese from La Mancha, and you have really good wine. I'll see if I can bring you some. We can celebrate.
So clean energy is important in Spain, and as it is in other places in Europe, but some reason I think that people in Spain are more exuberant about it, no?
There is one little island in the Canary Islands, which are next to Africa, but they belong to Spain. And that island is called El Hierro. It's more like what the Hawaiian Islands could be like, and it's all 100% renewables. So we're very proud of that. They are very proud of that.
Yeah. It was photovoltaic?
No, that's wind and water.
It's interesting.
Water. Yeah. And you're absolutely right, because they get so much sun that I don't know how they didn't go for solar before, but they got it. They have a lot of wind. It's like Hawaii. I find that more similar to Hawaii, very volcanic also.
Well, this is a good time to do a segue to Hawaii. Let's talk about what your perception of the Hispanic community here and the kinds of things you want to discover. Because to be a host on a show like this is a discovery. It's a personal discovery, it's a discovery of your guests, and certainly a substantive discovery of the world of your subject matter. What do you see the areas for your discovery?
Well, good. I think we circle back to how we started. I think we are ready to accept any ideas. I want to know what Hispanics are doing in Hawaii. I want to know how they find Hawaii, what's the difference with their own. I think, again, we find a lot of similarities: tropical weather, families, how we work the land and agricultural products. So I think we can do that comparison between Hawaiians and Hispanics and see how they find Hawaii, how they feel, what they would like to bring from their own countries, how they need. I know in the mainland, usually you can find these Latin groups, and you don't do that so much in Hawaii. I also know there is a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that used to have place in Hawaii, and now they are trying to rebuild that. So I want to get in touch with them and see how they do businesses in Hawaii, what Hispanics do, what they care about, what they're interested in. And I think covering news from everywhere in the world, and then probably bringing our guests and talking about news will be a way to discover that. I want to teach you Spanish, so you come to my show and I can be your host instead of the other way around. And so that can be one idea for you, Jay, for the new year.
Yeah, well, what about people who are Hispanic who don't speak Hispanic? You know what I mean? I'm sure there are a lot of people in many places in the country who are just a little beyond speaking, or let's see, they just didn't have the life experience to learn Spanish. And I'm sure there are people like that here. So how would you handle that? Will you shift between English and Spanish, or would you hold on the requirement for Spanish?
I think we're gonna go for the requirement in Spanish, but we're gonna help a little. Like maybe the first connection will explain what the program is going to be about. Maybe after the breaks, we'll explain again what we've been talking about. So we'll help a little bit with a couple of sentences in every program, so people don't say, who is this woman and what is she doing in Jay's program? but other than that, I think we're gonna push for Spanish. We are welcoming everyone who wants to speak Spanish and want to learn with us. I think it will be a beautiful way. I've learned a lot of English thanks to TV. So I think this can be a way for everybody to learn as well.
We had a program with Hong Zhang, who is Chinese from China, and there was an artist that she brought onto the program, and he did not speak any English. So what she did is she spoke to him, through the program in Mandarin. But then just as you say, when they hit the brakes, when it was an appropriate time, she would turn to the audience and say, well, what he's been talking about is this, that, and the other thing, And it was very, very interesting because,
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I should do something like that. That would be a great idea.
Yeah. Do you have any guests in mind? Anybody lined up yet?
A couple of them, but the problem is with the Skype, people don't really like to do an interview at 2 a.m. in the morning. So I'm gonna have to have a lot of charm to convince them. But I will give you a good list. I think we'll bring very interesting people.
Yeah, well, that ought to be very, very interesting. And remember, we do have Skype, and I can see you swell, I can hear you swell, and that means the world is your oyster. There are Hispanic communities in many, many, many places in the world, and you can explore all of that sitting at this table in Hawaii. Wow, exciting, eh?
That will be awesome, yay.
Okay, we're about out of time. We're going to move to our next show, which is Asia in Review. We'll learn things about Asia today with Bill Sharp. But I do want to thank you for this great show and staying up at 2 o'clock in the morning, now almost 3 o'clock in the morning in Madrid, and sharing with us and educating us about Spain and about your new show. Looking forward so much, Maria. 2 weeks from now, we'll start it.
Yes. Muchas gracias. See you soon, Jay. Thank you very much to you.
Yes. And what was it? Viva Hawaii.
Viva Hawaii. There you go.
Aloha. See
Bye.
you soon. Bye.